Hi and welcome to the Prickly Pear Show. I'm Ron Furman. Ellie's not here due to the weather, as everybody can see what's happening out there right now. I'm here with a special guest, my friend Igor. Igor, welcome to the show. Igor Klabanov. Igor is a personal trainer. Igor, you do a lot more than just the regular personal training.
That's right.
So usually I bring people to the show that have a specific craft, something they're able to do, but at the same time they're making a difference. Can you talk to the audience today maybe about why you're on the show, why I decided to bring you on? What do you do that's different than anybody else that does personal training?
Sure. So what I do is I run a personal training company. It's called Fitness Solutions Plus. And I think where we really specialize, we get a lot of referrals from doctors, naturopath therapists, and so on, because we're very precise in the exercise prescription side of things for different conditions. It's as precise as a doctor might be about prescribing medications.
Okay.
For example, when a doctor prescribes a medication, he'll tell you the name of the medication, dosage, whether you should take it with food or away from food, morning or evening. However, when they tell you to exercise, that's all the information you get. You don't know if you should do cardio, strength training, or stretching. You also don't know other important parameters like your intensity, how hard, duration, how long, frequency, how many times per week. But just as a doctor would not prescribe the same medication for different conditions, nor should a person be doing the same exercise for different conditions. What works for diabetes may not work for arthritis. What works for high blood pressure may not work for osteoporosis. And as it pertains to the movie that we worked on before, what works for anxiety may not work for depression. So there's a lot of precision that goes behind each one of these conditions, and those are really the big six that we work with.
So let's slow down a little bit because I think we're speeding through everything that you do. When I expect to see a personal trainer, number one, I expect him to be this like big buff man.
Yeah.
It's like I judge him by the muscles that he has or the gym that he goes to. I look at you and I see somebody that's smaller than me, but yet you have a book that you've written. Clearly, it makes him four books. There you go, four books. You are somebody that understands a lot more than just the personal training. There's a lot of medical research that goes into it. Can you tell me a little bit about what goes into getting a personal trainer that really fits people with like mental health issues or people who are looking to gain more than just muscle, who are looking to maybe be healthier?
Sure. So first of all, you have to ask a person, what does health mean to you? Because it's such a vague term. Does it mean lower cholesterol levels? Does it mean more energy? Does it mean better sleep? Does it mean all of the above? Less anxiety, less worry, less depression? Like what does health mean to you? So you have to first of all narrow it down, and then you have to make the goals more precise and quantifiable.
Okay.
In other words, for example, let's use the example of training for better mental health. So as you remember, once when we had you train for that purpose, we actually had you fill out a very brief five symptom questionnaire that asked you on a 0 to 5 scale.
Sorry, I'm sweating. I'm running around. And, it's the usual thing that I tend to do for some reason.
No worries.
Go ahead.
So we'll have you fill out the frequency and the intensity of the symptoms that you feel, and we'll do that right before the workout. We'll do the workout, and then we'll have you fill it out immediately after the workout. And this lets us know whether you're on track or not. In science, there's a saying that science begins when you start measuring. And if you're not measuring, then you don't know if what you're doing is working. And as I always say in my writing, my articles, and my books, if you're not assessing, you are guessing.
Okay.
Right? And hence the importance of assessments of hourly assessments, as we did with your workouts, but also more long-term assessments, as in body fat, which is what we did every 2 weeks. So assessment is absolutely critical. And again, just because it works something works for one person doesn't mean it will work for everybody.
When people see you for the first time, and what do they usually come to you for? Do they come for just basic workout to feel better about themselves? Because I know, reading a little bit about you, you have like cancer patients, people who were on their deathbed asking for help, and you were able to get them out of the place where they were in their life and to get the right exercise for them. So talk to me maybe about some experiences that you've had with people that you helped.
Sure. So the cancer thing is very unusual. It's not most of our clients. Majority of clients are just looking at body fat. They just want to be healthier, fit into their clothes better, have more energy, and so on. But they also want all the benefits that come from losing body fat, like better sleep, more energy levels, more productivity, more confidence, all that kind of stuff that comes from just looking better, feeling better, having your clothes fit better, wearing smaller sizes, and so on. But there are a few very cool case studies that we've worked with. For example, Mandy. She was, I think, a 63-year-old woman who came to us, and she was a type 2 diabetic for 16 years at that point.
Okay.
First 5 years of being a diabetic, her doctor put her on medications, and they worked great for the first 5 years. Then they stopped working. Dosage had to be raised. It worked a little bit, but again, that stopped working. So blood sugar wasn't good, as it generally isn't for a diabetic. So she started testing other things like cardio, and that worked for a little bit, but not really consistently. Once we paired her up with one of our trainers who actually follows the methodology, and he put her on the right exercise and nutrition program, she was consistently able to bring her blood sugar down into essentially a non-diabetic range. So I don't know if this means really much to the viewers here, but before she started working with us, her HbA1c was 7.2 millimoles per liter. Okay. HbA1c is the average blood sugar over the last 3 months. It's also called glycated hemoglobin. And so the official borderline for diabetes is 7.0, she was 7.2. And below 7.0, you're not a diabetic. You're not necessarily perfect, so to speak, but you're not a diabetic per se. Nowadays, her blood sugar is consistently between 6.0 and 6.4. So she's not perfect, but she's definitely not a diabetic anymore.
Right, that's amazing.
That's one cool case study.
Well, so what we did with you, so for those that don't know, I I brought you in as an expert in my film, and we're able to kind of find out what I really want to gain out of the workouts.
Right.
So like heart rate to go down, when to lift the heart rate up, better mental health, at the same time losing some fat, gaining muscle, and you had like a chart. Talk to me about the science behind the chart that you. By the way, do you offer that to every client that comes in? Because usually when I meet like a personal trainer back in the day when I used to work out regularly, they didn't have that much information they wrote about me. It was more like, okay, what are you trying to gain? Okay, we're going to get you to this amount of fat percentage, and that's what we're going to go for. But you literally had a list of questions that I had to fill out. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So it's what's called the NAQ, Nutritional Assessment Questionnaire. It's
NAQ?
A Nutritional Assessment Questionnaire.
Okay.
And it's a list of 321 different symptoms that look at 16 different systems of the body: cardiovascular, immune, etc., hormonal, and so on. And the reason that I'm so thorough is because it's very, very important to realize that body fat is about more than just exercise and nutrition. There's other things that go into it: hormonal balance, digestive health, what's called brain chemistry, or neurotransmitter balance, and other things. And if all you're looking at is exercise and nutrition, you're going to get part of the picture, but not the whole picture. We want to figure out everything. We want to leave no stone unturned. There should be no guesswork into what's going to work and what's not going to work. So this adds an entire degree of extra precision to our methodology that we can actually use and give very targeted advice as opposed to general. How come the average person or the average personal trainer doesn't use something along those lines? Because clearly when I'm walking in, I don't know really what I want to gain out of it. Like for me, it's, I want to lose weight, right? That's the first thing that I want to say, right? But there's clearly more to it. Like, for example, I remember I used to go to Extreme Fitness. They never asked me about any illnesses that I would have. It was more like constraints. Like, for example, if I had a back issue, then they wouldn't work on my back as much. But they never had like the list of questions that you had. Literally, I remember going through like the blood type. Like there were. Can you talk to me a little bit more in depth about the chart and what is the goal of having that chart in place? The goal is to for the client themselves to realize that body fat is about more than just exercise and nutrition. So it is going to look at things like your thyroid, which has a very intimate connection with your weight, your blood sugar, your immune system, which people don't really associate immune system with weight loss or muscle gain, but it's intimately associated. Your digestion, for example, if somebody is eating a lot of protein, but they can't absorb that protein, it's as if they're not eating it. Or if somebody's taking iron, but they can't absorb the iron, it's as if they're not eating the iron. Another thing, you used to do blood work, right? Yeah. Like I remember when we started, you asked me to do blood work so we kind of know the levels. Yeah. Again, why aren't other people doing the blood work if we really want to, gain real perspective on like what someone could achieve, what they can and cannot do with themselves? Sure. There should be blood work in place. Absolutely. So, what made you decide to make this change and like get people to give you your blood work, their blood work? It's very simple. My desire to get uncommonly good results with my clients. So I'll spend between $5,000 and $7,000 per year on professional development courses, on seminars, workshops, books, etc. Everything that I can get my hands on that's relevant to my clients. So if a client presents to me with a mental health issue, and me years ago didn't know how to work with a mental health issue, I will read everything I can about that topic until I feel competent enough to get a client to where they want to be. And typically in the year, I'll read about 70 or 80 books. So I really want to know how to get at the client's problems, not what's interesting to me, what's relevant to the client. Client comes with a thyroid issue, I want to know everything about the thyroid. Client comes to me with a diabetes, I want to know everything about diabetes. And since a lot of the books they're written by MDs and they're not really mainstream books, they're really academic books or clinical books, they refer to blood chemistry a lot. And I figured it would give me a whole other dimension of precision if I understood what each test meant. What does it mean if this value is high? What does it mean if this value is low? How do different values interact with each other? And so on. And also, when do you get false positives and false negatives? When might a test show low when it's actually normal? When might a test show high when it's actually normal? So all these factors are very important. So that's why I have my clients, not all of them, but about 10 or 15% of them, I give them a list of 48 different tests that I want them to ask their doctor to run. And this gives me precision to like what's going on with the liver, what's going on with digestion, what's going on with inflammation, what's going on with blood sugar, all these kinds of things that allow me to make a much more targeted advice than just, eat less carbs, exercise more.
What led you to want to get involved in the first place? Like I could see clearly, I mean, I've seen some of your shots, where
Right.
you look very healthy. I'm sure you have like a very low fat percentage, but body fat percentage. But what made you want to help others or get into this field?
I'm kind of like a mad scientist.
Okay.
In the sense that when I was in high school, believe it or not, my parents wanted me to be a computer programmer.
I believe it. I believe it. Okay.
People who hear that, they're like, you can't sit still for an hour. How can you do it for 8 hours or 40 years? But yeah, I mean, my parents wanted me to be a computer programmer. But as people who know me know, I am completely technologically inept.
Okay.
I didn't have a phone until cell phone until 2008.
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't have a smartphone until 2014 or 2015. So I'm like way behind the technology curve. I have no aptitude or interest in it. But I spent all my free time in high school researching performance enhancement, because at that time I used to compete in martial arts, and my body is not a good body for martial arts. When you're short and muscular, you're good for wrestling, you go for gymnastics, but for martial arts, for striking, tall and lanky is good.
Gotcha.
I'm not tall and lanky. I am very short.
So you got into this, let me ask you again, I'm
Yeah.
not trying to cut you off, just
Sure.
to find out. So you were basically getting into martial arts as a kid, I'm
Yeah.
guessing, and then, at some point you realize I'm not growing anymore, and,
Yeah.
How do I utilize what I have
Yeah.
to make myself
Yeah.
a better striker or a better...
I wanted to figure out how to get above average results with below average genetics.
Interesting, okay.
So that's
Because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who,
Yeah.
who are sharing the same
below
thing.
average genetics.
Yeah.
So I wanted to figure out what works for myself. Then I started to get interested in what works for other people. So in grade 12, when it came time to making decisions about which university to attend, which program to do, my first choice, my parents' real first choice, was U of T computer programming.
Okay, of course.
My parents' second choice, York University computer programming. My third choice, which is my real first choice, York University kinesiology. So then I started studying kinesiology, and concurrently while working my degree, I was working at a community center as well as a country club. And I wasn't interested, my interest in martial arts declined, but my interest in what's working for my clients increased.
Why would your parents have an issue with you getting into kinesiology? I mean, I think
Yeah.
your parents are Jewish, right? So you're Russian Jewish. I'm sure that kinesiology would be something that they want you to get into. Did they feel that you were kind of going against them?
Absolutely.
Really? Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there's a guillotine that almost comes out when you disobey your Russian parents. My dad is a computer programmer, so he liked his career. He thought I would like his career, which was not the case. Again, no aptitude or interest in technology. So yeah, that wasn't really my thing. But I was very interested in how to make my clients better. Plus, from martial arts competition days, I was also interested in being the best. And that carried over into not just martial arts, but I also wanted to be the best trainer as a professional. So I started to look into what can I do that other personal trainers aren't doing, which led me into the whole path of hormones, digestion, stress, blood work, all that kind of stuff. And again, it takes a lot of time, 70 to 80 books per year, plus $5,000 to $7,000 per year in professional development, investments, courses, etc.
Are you noticing a change in the way people work out today? Like, I think that people today know a little bit more about what to eat, how to work out. People don't come in as clueless as they did maybe 20 years ago.
Sure.
But I still think that those people that are coming in, they're coming with their information, but they don't necessarily come in with the right information. Right? Like, I mean, there's a saying in Russian that, like, I heard something, but I have no idea where it came from. So it's kind of like, they know that, they need to do these exercises. Like, it's kind of like you said, like, more repetition, less carbs, less food. But what is the thing that you most see that people come in to talk to you about, talk to you about working out, that is not necessarily right. Like it's not correct. Like what they're doing is actually hurting them as opposed to making them feel better.
There's a lot of stuff, but if I had to pin it down to one thing, it's just not measuring.
Not measuring.
Not taking regular assessments of themselves in whatever way possible. There is so much person-to-person variation that what works for the average person may not work for you.
Right.
What they're reporting studies is averages. But to get an average, you need a lot of outliers.
Right.
And then you report one central figure. If you actually look at individual variation within studies, here's an interesting one. You know what the glycemic index is?
No.
The glycemic index is a measurement of how fast any given food raises blood sugar.
Okay.
So, for example, like bread is like really high, and something like butter is really low. And it's a 0 to 100 scale. So individually, these might be the ratios. In one study they did, one woman, she had a high blood sugar response for blueberries and a low blood sugar response to milk chocolate.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but that's an outlier. So again, if people measured themselves more, they'd have a way more precise idea.
But how would she know? How would she know? Like
she wouldn't. She was just a participant in the study.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Right.
But like we're talking about like the average person. Like how would they know? You know, like what hurts them. Like for example, when I have tomatoes, I always get heartburn. Yeah. I know, like when I have something that causes heartburn for somebody else, from like what is it?
Something spicy. Usually.
Right. Like it doesn't bother me. For some reason, tomatoes like they always do. Yeah. So how are you supposed to know? Like, you just need to know your body? Like, do you come in with like information, or there's a specific study that everybody can do before they come and see you to see what they're allergic to?
It depends on their budget. Okay. There is one very, very advanced test, and if budget is not an issue, I strongly recommend it. It's by a laboratory called Cyrex Labs, and they run this.
Can you say it? Maybe the audience wants to.
Cyrex Labs, CYREX Labs. Okay. American company, extremely good, extremely accurate in terms of their food sensitivity testing. What you do is you spit into a test tube, or you prick yourself, you send it out to the laboratory, comes back between 3 and 7 business days later, and it tells you exactly what you're sensitive to and what you're not. It's not just obvious stuff like don't eat chips, don't eat burgers. It's going to be like spinach may be sensitive, may be an issue for you, but not everybody else. Tomatoes may be an issue for you, but not other people. Right. So that's the most precise test in the market. But again, it's an expensive test. So if budget is not an issue, that's the one I recommend.
I went to a naturopath through the process, and she was using these like stones or whatever and putting it over me and letting me know that like I can't have cheese, I can't have like dairy products, I should be having this specific fruit. Yeah. It was kind of strange that she was taking like these stones and getting it, but like when you're doing these tests, what does it really tell you? Like what are these tests actually doing?
This specific one?
This specific one, or other ones that people like, for example, like the blueberries in comparison to the chocolate. What is it that you guys are looking for? Yeah. In terms of like how it's affecting you.
So with this specific test with the stones, I don't know if I 100% agree with. Okay. It's not, as far as I know, not scientifically validated. As for the test that we are looking for is something called antigens. Basically, when you eat, what is an antigen, first of all? An antigen, an antibody, is a cell, the immune the immune system produces in response to something that it perceives as foreign and shouldn't be there, an invader, so to speak. So it tags it and says, one immune cell says to other immune cells, destroy this, it shouldn't be there, it's a foreign substance. And that's for the most part a good thing. But what happens when it tags something that should be there? For example, you eat gluten. I don't want to get into the whole gluten debate, but let's say you eat gluten, and it has a certain structure that to one person's immune system, it looks like their nervous system as well. It'll destroy that gluten, but also to destroy their nervous system, which may create multiple sclerosis. Okay. What if for somebody that gluten looks like their pancreas cells? The immune system will start destroying pancreas cells, which will create type 1 diabetes. Okay. What if that gluten looks like your thyroid? Your immune system will start destroying your thyroid, which will create something called Hashimoto's. So that's what can happen. That's what we're looking for with these food sensitivity tests. We're looking for, is the immune system overreacting to certain foods or particles in foods? So that's, and it gives us a lot of precision.
So how much of the what you eat is important with the workout? Like for example, if I would go to like the gym, they would tell me, okay, you need to exercise, 5 times a week, lifting weights, doing this, doing cardio, but nobody's really talking to me about my eating habits. Yeah. They might tell me, don't eat as many carbs, like add more protein, have more vegetables, have more greens. But what is it that you do that differs from other people when it comes to dietary foods? Because I know that you do that too, right?
I have a huge background in nutrition.
Sorry, because I never mentioned before to the audience that you also deal with the food, then you're also somewhat of a nutritionist at the same time.
I have a background in clinical nutrition as well.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of food, I'm going to be a little politically incorrect and say that it depends on your goal. The importance of food matters on your goal. If your goal is fat loss, food is huge.
Right.
But if your goal is not fat loss, you're already lean and you just want to run 10K, you can get away with a wide variety of foods. And a lot of the best athletes in the world, they will like drink beer after a race and they'll eat like lots of pasta. Is it healthy? Maybe not. Does it hurt their performance? Also no.
So let's talk about the heavier set people like myself. People who do want to lose weight, they do want to feel good. They, thank God I don't have any diabetes or any real problems. But clearly being overweight is not something anybody wants to be. What is it that you offer in terms of food? Because when we were doing the film, I went through with a different nutritionist, and she recommended I go vegan for a little bit.
Right.
And you were kind of against it in some ways.
Right.
But I said, hey, let's deal with the personal training. Let's try it. Even if I'm for it or against it, I want to at least give it a chance.
Right.
So talk to me about not why you're against veganism clearly, but like what makes your system different than anybody else's.
So my system is very evidence based.
Okay.
The evidence is that it matters very little what you eat in terms of weight. I mean, in terms of weight loss, it's for as far as general health. Yeah, it matters absolutely. But calories are the bottom line. But also, there's an element of hormonal balance in there. There's a level of digestive health, all that kind of stuff. But basically, the research shows there's very little research. There's very little difference between eating a low carb and a low fat diet. As long as calories are even, there will be virtually no difference in fat loss.
Okay.
Having said that, there is something to be said for a higher protein diet. Higher protein diets do produce greater fat loss and greater muscle gain compared to a calorically equivalent low fat, low carb diet. So this opens up a whole world of possibilities. It's not at all dogmatic. It's not this is the way and this is the only way and this is the way for everyone, right? This takes preferences into account. Now you can actually eat the foods that you want to eat, obviously not at the same frequency or as long as the total calories are low enough. But let's say you have a donut and it fits within the rest of the caloric intake of your day. It's not that big of a deal. Is it the best choice? Maybe not. Is it the worst choice? Well, it's not that big of a deal. In the context of the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal.
So let's talk a little bit about, let's pretend we're talking to the audience right now and we're letting them know, okay, somebody wants to lose 30 pounds, over the next 3 months. Just very doable, right? 10 pounds a month. You could probably lose a lot more, especially with the first week. And if you're a man, from what I know, men for some reason lose weight a lot faster. What is it that you'd recommend in terms of food and exercise? So is there some in particular, like should you be eating 5 times a day as opposed to 3 times a day? Should you break it down? Maybe we could talk a little bit about that, because if the audience is interested, I'm sure they would like to know how they could start their day today in terms of getting a healthier day.
There's a lot of misconceptions about nutrition, and one of the biggest misconceptions is meal frequency. Okay. Whether you eat twice a day or whether you eat 5 times a day matters very little.
Really?
Absolutely. Like if you get 2,000 calories across 5 meals or 2,000 calories across 2 meals, it's still 2,000 calories.
But what about your digestive system? Because isn't it?
As far as digestion, that's a different story.
But it's not just digestive. Like also, for example, like if somebody goes to the bathroom like 3 times a day, as opposed to somebody that goes once every 3 days.
Right.
Right. How could he lose the weight?
Yeah, that's clearly unhealthy.
Okay.
But in terms of total calories, that's makes no difference. Whether you eat twice a day or 5 times a day, it will not cause any digestive issues if you don't have digestive issues to begin with.
So you're saying if I eat one huge meal a day and I get my 2,000, it doesn't matter if I had breakfast, a little bit for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks in between, it would still be the same.
Correct. In terms of weight, strictly weight, yes. Having said that, it's very hard to get 2,000 calories in one meal. Unless you're drinking.
I can make that happen.
If you go to an all-you-can-eat place, it's very easy for me too. But
I can't do that. I can't do those places anymore. I literally can't. It's not.
Some practice and you can do it again. Basically, the biggest, most important variable is just total calories. The second most important variable is protein. Since protein tends to be very filling, you just can't get that in one meal. You eat, 800 calories of protein and you're full. You just don't want it anymore. It's literally force feeding yourself. So 1 meal per day may not be optimal, but in terms of what's optimal, there's very little difference between 2 and 6. There is no difference in terms of strictly fat loss and muscle gain. How is there a difference in terms of other things, digestion? Maybe if you have bad digestion to begin with. If your digestion is fine to begin with, not a problem. There's only two types of people that I believe should be eating purposely higher frequency meals. I'm talking like 4 or more. Mm-hmm. People who are hypoglycemic, who have low blood sugar, so they actually need to eat more frequently, and bodybuilders, because they simply can't fit in enough protein in two or three meals. They need more. If you're not a bodybuilder, if you're not hypoglycemic, the meal frequency is a matter of personal choice. If you prefer 6 meals, go ahead.
Why don't you give me an example of like right now live? Like we'll do like maybe like a meal plan.
Sure.
You know, like so let's just say let's break it down into like 3 meals.
Sure.
Right, because the average person has a little bit of time to have breakfast, has time to stop for lunch and a nice dinner, and let's just say stop. By the way, does it matter what time of night you stop eating?
That's another big myth. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Put it this way, I always tell my audiences, I've never heard of somebody get fat because they ate too much broccoli at 11 p.m.
Right, but what if they had pasta at 11 p.m.?
It's no less healthy at 11 p.m. than it is at 6 p.m.
Really? Okay.
Right?
All right.
The only time it makes a very small difference is like 2 or 3 a.m. when metabolism is actually slower. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the difference between 11 p.m. and like 5 p.m., there is virtually no difference.
I used to fight with my parents because like I would always eat late.
Yeah.
But I would go to bed around like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And you know they're going to bed at like 12 o'clock. So clearly, if I'm eating at around 11 o'clock, like they're like, oh, late. But for me, I'm like, I still have 6 hours to play. So it's does it? But you're saying it doesn't matter. You're saying only. But you're saying only because at night your metabolism starts to slow down.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, your heart rate goes down, your body temperature goes down, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so let's start with like the breakfast. Let's go with like what should somebody would be having for breakfast?
So breakfast should be it's good to have a higher protein breakfast.
Higher protein.
Higher protein breakfast.
See, I thought you'd have like a higher carb for breakfast. Then
no, and that's why a lot of people will actually crash like mid-morning. They'll have, what's the typical breakfast? Well, it's maybe cereal, maybe
Boicas.
Breakfast, yeah. Maybe a muffin with a coffee. What's missing? Well, what's missing is protein. Both have very little protein. So why do they crash mid-morning, or why do they get hangry mid-morning, like 10, 11 a.m. when it's not even lunch? They're hangry. Brain chemistry is not good at that time of day because of that breakfast, and the hormonal profile of that breakfast isn't complete. And the macronutrient trait is just not a balanced breakfast. You have carbs, you have a little bit of fat, and you have close to zero protein. So that's a very bad breakfast.
So talk to me about the protein. So like right now I'm thinking like, am I having a piece of meat in the morning? Like am I really a piece?
So breakfast,
okay.
And I know this is going to sound crazy, but breakfast should really be more lunch-like.
Okay, really? Okay.
Yeah. Think about the hormonal profile of the morning. What's going on in the morning? Well, you just finished sleeping, so melatonin is low, cortisol is high. What is cortisol? Well, we call it the stress hormone, but there's no useless hormone in the body. It's there for something. Okay. What does it do? What does cortisol do? It gives you energy, right? It gives you energy to start your day. So cortisol should be high in the morning, should come down throughout the day, and it should hit a low point around 11 p.m. or midnight. Okay. But what does it do when you eat carbohydrates? Carbohydrates release insulin. Sorry, carbohydrates cause a release of insulin. Insulin is antagonistic to cortisol. Cortisol raises blood sugar. Insulin lowers blood sugar. Okay, higher blood sugar, assuming you're not insulin resistant, will give you energy. Okay. So you're eating a high carb breakfast, which will cause an increase in insulin, which will lower cortisol and decrease your energy along with it. So that's why a high carb breakfast is not ideal for most people, except for what I call the carb tolerant. Okay. Who are the carb tolerant? These are the people you hate because they're naturally skinny people. Yeah. They can eat whatever they want.
I hate skinny people.
And never put on body fat. They are perfectly fine.
I mean, I love you. I want to be you, but but I hate you because I am not you.
For those folks, it's perfectly fine to have a higher carb breakfast. Right. In fact, even majority carb, like 70% carbs. For the rest of us who are like average or larger set, higher protein breakfast makes way more sense. The cortisol stays relatively high throughout breakfast, gives you great energy, and you're full through to lunch.
So let's pretend. Let's make breakfast.
So what do we eat?
What do we eat? Yeah, bottom line, because at the end of the day, I could say protein, but I'm thinking like, oh my god, I'm gonna have shawarma in the morning. Like what am I actually eating?
So here's a great example of breakfast. The classic bacon and eggs, the classic sausage and eggs, something like that. Now, if somebody doesn't feel like doing that, well, how about something like a shake? Okay. And most people get shakes completely wrong. Way too much fruits, way too little vegetables, and way too little protein. So what's the proper recipe for a shake? Okay. The recipe is this, and I'm going to give you a template as opposed to actual foods.
Hope you guys are writing this down. Okay.
Yeah. So the right template for a shake is 1 fruit for every 3 vegetables, plus a scoop of protein. Okay.
Okay.
So that's a good recipe for a shake. It's quick.
Now, milk or water? What do you recommend?
If you want to lose body fat, water.
Water. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you use milk, is that all right? Because
again, it goes back to your goals. Are you trying to lose body fat? If yes, milk is fine as long as you subtract calories from the rest of your day.
Okay.
If you're not trying to lose body fat, go at it.
How do you measure? Like, is there like I know my sister has this app that kind of measures like different food
in terms of how many calories you get.
How many calories, like what she's actually putting. So, for example, like a tomato would have this amount of calories, or a piece of bread would have that amount of calories.
There's a very good website.
Okay.
It's called nutritiondata.self.com. And it's the most comprehensive website on the internet as far as the breakdown of what each food contains. So that's a very simple way to measure.
I was gonna have Ellie here with me, and we're gonna commit to was surprised to commit to doing a workout, and so I want you to put something together for me.
Sure.
And after maybe 30 days, because I like to compete, I like to try new things. And I want to follow your path in terms of like a workout and type of food that I want to eat. So I'm committing to all of you. So if I follow your path of like the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and my goal is to lose weight, within 30 days, could I lose those the 15 pounds in a healthy way?
That would
Clearly,
be fairly aggressive. It's possible, but it's aggressive.
15 pounds aggressive.
15 pounds is aggressive.
Really?
Here's the numbers. To lose 1 pound of fat, you need to subtract 3,500 calories. Okay. So if you think about it, if a person eats, let's say, 3,000 calories per day, to go from 3,000, so if we want 15 pounds, we would need to subtract something like 3,500 times 15. Now, I'm a Russian Jew, but I'm not good at that one. So how much would that be? 15 times 3?
I wasn't doing the math. I was just looking at you and thinking about.
I
can't believe I just committed to doing this. Live.
Unless somebody has 100 pounds to lose, that's super aggressive. A more realistic rate of fat loss is about somebody with 30, 40 pounds to lose, between 1.5 and 3 pounds per week. It might be.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
That's average.
That's average.
It'll be faster in the beginning.
Dr. Brown used to get really pissed off at me when I would lose 3-4 pounds. He'd be like, "You could do so much better than that."
Because on a low carb diet, you lose not just fat, but also water. Right. So in the short term, low carb diets outperform low fat diets in weight, but not in fat. Long term, we're talking beyond 6 months. There is no difference between low fat, low carb. They're both basically equal. So it's very much a matter of preference. Okay, so we have. So you said like the kosher bacon, turkey bacon with eggs and kosher sausage or whatever it is. Absolutely.
Okay, with eggs, so you're getting your protein. Should you have vegetables?
Yes.
With every meal,
Vegetables with every meal.
So I remember when I was doing it, it was I was supposed to have greens. So whether it's cucumber, spinach, lettuce, make sure that it's green. Other colors, stay away from other colors.
All colors are fine.
All colors
are fine.
Okay, because for some reason, I used to be afraid of peppers.
Peppers are great.
They're great.
Carrots are great.
Carrots I can understand, yeah.
Okay. All colors are fine. Eat the colors of the rainbow.
Okay.
Different colors have different nutrients. Literally, different tastes have different nutrients. Something that's bitter, like arugula, will have a different nutrient profile than something sweet, like cantaloupe or something like that. So that's an example of our breakfast. So you might
it'll be a salad. Alongside the eggs and the.
Or you can even just chop peppers into your omelet.
Okay.
Yeah, or your scrambled eggs.
Okay, so then how many hours after should I, or does it really matter?
I just say go eat when you're hungry.
Eat when I'm hungry.
Yeah, don't count the hours. Just listen to.
And I know I heard you say this before, but I wanted to know 100%.
Less of an impact overall, but still a high impact. Protein. Third most, the ratio of carbs to fat. Fourth most, which almost doesn't matter at all whatsoever, is timing. So that's the hierarchy. So that's what's going to have from the biggest impact to the smallest impact. But yeah, so breakfast might be that. So something like an omelet, chopped peppers, carrots, something like that, and like bacon, sausage, or something like that.
Okay.
Or chicken, turkey.
I can't see myself eating meat in the morning.
I know.
It's just such a weird.
It's very un-North American.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean North Americans do eat fatty meats in the morning.
Yeah.
But for some reason, for me, I just can't think. I just can't see myself eating that. Like egg. Fine, like a pastry or something like that. Fine, but
so a lot of our clients are kind of in the same boat. They can't picture that for breakfast. So do the shake.
Do the shake.
Do the shake. Water, milk, almond milk, whatever. Plus 3 vegetables and 1 fruit.
Okay.
Whatever vegetables, whatever fruit, doesn't matter.
What about snacking?
One more thing on protein and a scoop of protein.
Protein.
Okay. Shake.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's your breakfast if you can't do the other one. In terms of snacking, most people will not feel like snacking if they're eating these proper meals.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people feel like snacking because, again, breakfast is usually a high carb, low protein breakfast, and for the most part, a low calorie breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
How much is the muffin? Well, 400 or 500 calories.
Right. So it's a lot.
It's actually not that much for somebody who needs 3,000 per day to maintain, and they take three meals per day. Well, each meal should contain about 1,000.
Okay.
Right? If you're only getting a 500 calorie breakfast, that's not much. Or cereal. Cereal is even lower. Cereal, like if you get like Frosted Flakes or Corn Flakes or something like that, just if you get like 50 grams of that plus, let's say, regular milk, that all in all is maybe about 280, 300 calories. That's very low. No wonder you're hungry again an hour and a half or two later. Plus, it's very low in protein. So the reason people feel the need to snack is because the actual meals aren't substantial enough and just simply don't have enough protein. So if you eat that type of breakfast, or if you have a shake, the shake may not be as filling as the breakfast, but if you feel into snack, go ahead and snack. I recommend snacking on vegetables.
Snacking on vegetables. What about nuts and stuff like that?
Nuts are super high in calories.
Super high in calories.
They're healthy, but it's high in calories. Think about it this way. All nuts, it doesn't matter if it's almonds or cashews or pecans, whatever, in 50 grams, there's 350 calories.
Really?
50 grams is nothing.
I used to go crazy when it came to almonds.
Oh, half a handful is all 50 grams is. That's 350. Imagine having 2 handfuls. That's 1,400 calories. Easy.
Wow.
Is it healthy? Well, they say it's the dose that makes the poison. 50 grams might be fine. 200 grams may be not so good for you.
Yeah, I used to go crazy when it came to almonds. For some reason, I thought if I eat raw almonds, like to snack on them, like I'm eating healthy because I'm not grabbing like a sandwich or anything like that.
Yeah.
And
but you'd actually be better off grabbing a sandwich.
Well, good to know now.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about our lunch? So what?
So lunch and dinner should be both very similar. And here's the template I give for people who want to lose body fat. Half the plate should be non-starchy vegetables. That's your spinach, your broccoli, your carrots, your peppers, etc. A quarter of your plate should be starches. Things like rice, potatoes, pasta, beans, lentils, peas, stuff like that. And then the remaining quarter should be protein. And the only protein sources, I'll go on record saying this is meat, fish, or seafood. These are the only really good protein sources. All the other stuff is not a good protein source. So things like beans, not a good protein source. Eggs, not a good protein source.
So last week we had a vegan on the show, and he was, so let's just say right now we want to talk to the vegans out there who are interested. I know it's not your realm, but if you could recommend anything, for those that are not meat eaters, what could they have to be able to get the same nutrients and the same amount of protein?
So we got to distinguish between vegetarians and vegans. Vegetarians can have dairy and they can have eggs. Vegans can't have either one.
Right.
In which case, like the only way for vegans to get proper protein is supplements.
Really?
Yeah. Because how much protein does a person need per day? So let's actually use the numbers here. A person who's sedentary, doesn't exercise at all, and is under 60 needs about 0.8 grams per kilogram. That's sedentary. A person who does endurance exercise, under 60, needs between 1.2 and 1.4 grams per kilogram per day. A person who's doing strength training, 1.6 to 1.8 grams per kilogram per day. So let's use the average person who is 70 kilograms, 154 pounds, times 1.7. Let's assume they're strength training 3 times per week. So 70 kilos times 1.7 is around 120 or so, if my numbers are correct. So that's about 120 grams of protein per day. Now, what are the best sources? Again, meat, fish, or seafood. Those are the only really good sources. Everything else is second best. So all these three in a regular serving of about 100 to 200 grams of that, chicken, turkey, beef, etc., will have about 30 grams. Okay.
Now, if I wanted to add more vegetables, that's not a problem, right? Because you broke it into half. So as long again,
but we need to distinguish between starchy and non-starchy vegetables.
Non-starchy. So I'm talking about like the greens. So for example, if I have like a pound of broccoli,
by all means,
that's okay, right? Or celery, they say if you eat celery, you actually lose weight because your chewing is
not 100% true.
No, I know. Everybody says it. It's understandable that you clearly are gaining something, but actually, cucumber is one of the best things because it's full of water, right? That's probably one of the best vegetables.
I mean, all vegetables are super high in water. Like the highest thing in water is not a vegetable; it's watermelon.
Yeah.
As the name implies.
But that's not good, right? The watermelon is high in sugar.
It's high in sugar, but you have to ask yourself how much watermelon do you need to eat to actually get the equivalent of a tablespoon of sugar.
You're talking to an Israeli who loves watermelon, so I can say about myself.
Maybe a lot, maybe half a watermelon.
And it has to come with like a Bulgarian cheese, and then it's like
then it's the best.
Perfect meal.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've tackled the lunch and dinner.
Lunch and dinner should be very similar.
Okay.
So again,
you said breakfast and lunch are very similar.
No, lunch and dinner are very similar.
Lunch and dinner are very similar. Okay.
Yeah, lunch and dinner are very similar. Breakfast, maybe if you can eat a lunch like breakfast, awesome. Most people can't, so you do either the omelet with with whatever you want, with sausage, bacon, and some chopped peppers or carrots or some kind of salad. Or if you can't do that, shake.
Now, what about you? You keep mentioning bacon and like sausage, and they're high in fat.
They're high in fat.
I mean, I can't. Like, I remember I used to have a friend who with this very high protein diet. He lost a lot of weight, but he was eating like fatty meats.
Yeah.
And I was like, this cannot be good for your heart to be able to eat all these fatty meats. He's like, oh no, I'm losing weight. I'm like, I know that you're losing weight. I can see it, but something tells me that it's not right. So should we be eating like these types of fats?
So it all comes back to balance. So there are 3 different types of fats. There's what's called polyunsaturated, there's monounsaturated, and there's saturated. Fatty meats contain primarily saturated. Is that a problem? Again, it's the dose that makes the poison. Too much is a problem.
Right.
How much is too much? Well, they say that about 10% of your fat. So fat in the general diet should be about 30%. So you get 10% saturated, 10% monounsaturated, 10% polyunsaturated. If that bacon and sausage, etc., fits into the 10% saturated, not a problem. If you can start getting 15-20% saturated, that's a problem. Again, it's the dose that makes the poison.
Now, with regards to the meat, I was told that it should be about your palm.
Yeah, for women, yes. For men, it should be 2 palms.
2 palms.
Yeah. Enjoy.
I feel good about this. Okay?
Excellent. And again, this is customizable. This is the template that we start with. We'll measure our clients 2 weeks later. We'll see, is this working? Are you feeling hungry? If you're feeling hungry, we're going to tweak those ratios. If you're not feeling hungry and it's working great, keep it up.
So I have a question for you that kind of relates to the workout. I actually used to ask people this all the time, and I never really got an answer. And figured I'm going to do this live. For some reason, whenever I used to work out, I'd feel like I want to faint, but on a regular basis.
Right.
And then I would have like apple juice or some sort of sugar, and I'd be back up.
Yeah.
So I went to test my sugar levels, and they said, no, you're perfectly all right.
Yeah.
Clearly, if I'm having sugar, it's bringing me back to life.
Yes.
So something must be wrong. Why is it that, again, you don't know about my body, but but tell me why when I have sugar, all of a sudden, like I feel good, or why did I faint when I work out?
Yeah.
And it happens regularly, like all the time.
So this
actually it happened with you.
Yeah.
So when we did the workout, and remember I got apple juice, and it was like I was back to normal.
Yeah. So this gets a little biochemically complex, but that's where we give our clients 48 different tests to ask their doctor to run. So fasting sugar is a very poor indication of what's going on in the rest of the time. In other words, fasting sugar is a snapshot in time. It's what your blood sugar is at that very moment. It might be higher an hour later, it might be lower an hour later. So that's the 4 tests we use is actually fasting glucose, glycated hemoglobin, or HbA1c, which we talked about earlier. But the 2 that we also like to test for that very rarely are run is something called C-peptide and another one called glycomark. Now, between these 4, you have a very complete picture of what's going on in your body. You only use 2, fasting glucose and A1c. You only have a partial picture of what's going on in your body.
Okay.
So what is going on in your body? Maybe, again, we haven't tested you, so I don't know. But I'm going to theorize here. What is happening in your body? Could be blood sugar is dropping, because with strength training and cardio, depending on the intensity, blood sugar will drop. You're going to use sugar for fuel. Blood sugar will drop. Along with blood sugar, often comes down blood pressure. You get a little woozy. You bring blood sugar back up, and along with it comes back to the blood pressure. That may have to do with another hormone called cortisol. Cortisol raises blood sugar, but if your cortisol levels are low, it can't raise blood sugar because there's just not enough cortisol to do that. So that's a possibility. There's other possibilities. It's not a certainty. It's a possibility. We don't know for certain until we test, which we haven't. But that's when it comes to mind, based on what I know about you, the symptoms we had you fill out, that would be my most obvious answer.
Talk to me a little bit about the book.
Sure.
So you claim you have 4 books. I have only seen 1. But you wrote a book. Clearly, you want to inspire people.
Right.
It's not just about again the clients that you meet, but you want people to read and to know more about themselves. So talk to me a little bit about this book specifically called Stop Exercising
The Way You Are Doing It Now.
Talk to me about it.
It's a good book.
Let's kind of keep it like this.
I'm a little bit biased.
Okay.
It's a good book. What it's about is
it something I read in the bathroom, or something I do before bedtime, or something I do when I'm eating?
This is something you block out all distractions for. Give it the proper respect.
Gotcha.
Because it's better than Shakespeare, in my opinion, in my very biased opinion. So what is this book about? Well, basically, I wrote this in 2013 when I've already been, and this was published in 2014. But after I already had written a bunch of newsletters.
Okay.
I'm a very like numbers, metrics driven guy. So I send newsletters, and by that point I'd already written 100 articles about exercise and nutrition. So my email marketing software tells me which titles have the highest open rates.
Okay.
So I knew that these are the topics that are most interesting to my readers, my audiences, my clients, and so on. So I made the top 8 the table of contents, and those are the chapters. So it covers the most frequently asked questions, literally numbers based. Covers things like motivation, how do hormones affect body fat, posture, supplements, which ones should I take, which ones shouldn't I take, exercise, of course, sleep. These are probably the biggest topics that people ask me about. Motivation is another big one. So these are the 8 biggest topics that my clients ask me about, and like I'd say 3 or 4 out of every 5 speaking engagements that I do are about this exact topic.
So what are we doing wrong? What, I mean, like sleep, for example.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me.
Yeah.
I go to sleep, just the other night, I think I fell asleep around 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I was up by 10 o'clock and
Yeah.
ready to go. And,
Yeah.
and I could tell that I'm tired, and I was
Right.
trying to sleep. I was
Yeah.
forcing myself, walking
Yeah.
around on Facebook, but I know that it's affecting my health. I know
Sure.
that the lack of sleep is probably affecting the way I eat. It's affecting,
Yeah.
you know, my mood throughout the day.
Yeah.
So how do you force yourself, for example,
Sure.
to sleep?
It's difficult if you have a history of 20, 30, 40 plus years of going to bed at a certain time or worse yet irregular times. So I mean, this is hard to do, but what I often recommend to my clients is get a peer group that is very health conscious. Start making new friends who are health conscious. Go to
No more fat friends. That's it. It's they're
not
gone.
necessarily not fat
No,
friends.
I can say no. Okay, all right. All right, fat friends come back.
Good.
Okay.
They're more
They make
fun.
me look skinny, so
That's right. And
that's
they're
why I
more
hang out
fun
with them.
anyway.
Yeah, we go out with them, and I was like, I look good in front of them.
There you go. Yeah. Just feel better by comparison. But yeah, get a healthy peer group. The way we do with our clients is we often have client appreciation events, so they meet each other. Obviously, somebody's doesn't have like that kind of access. There's meetups. There's Eventbrite. You go to the gym. You make friends at the gym. So you need a peer group of other people who are like-minded. If you want to get healthy, you need to hang around healthy people. If you want to get lean, you need to hang around lean people. This way, when you all go to the restaurant, you won't. If you're the only one ordering the unhealthy thing, you won't feel out of place.
There's like food shaming. There's like a whole.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if you go with a bunch of people who are not health conscious and you're the only one ordering the healthy thing,
Right.
then you feel self-conscious, right?
Right.
So it's about who your peer group is. The biggest factor on your success isn't your exercise, isn't your nutrition, it's not even your protein content, it's not about exercise program, it's your peer group.
Okay.
They're going to have the biggest impact on whether you get results or not.
So I have wing nights every Tuesday, and that's
Yeah.
And there used to be a time where I used to eat salads. I kind of went back to wings a little bit.
They taste better.
They
taste better.
Oh yeah, for sure. You go to wing night and you're not having wings. Literally, I had salads while going out with my friends. They were all making fun of me.
Yeah.
So you're saying I should eliminate that and start going to healthy places with my
Well,
friends?
I mean, if you're just doing it once a week, in the context of one meal,
Right.
one bad meal per week, it's not going to have a big deal.
Okay.
But if this is starting to turn into a 7 times per week type of thing, then
Right.
Probably not the best thing.
So again, like something from the book. So something that stands out and how you're able to help somebody change their mindset. Like I'm sure you have people that come in and they try to challenge you.
Yeah.
Like, well, I heard from this guy, and
Yeah.
and I've been in this business for a long time. Why are you telling me something different? So tell me like maybe an example of somebody coming in challenging you, and then you're able to get them on the right track.
So I often get this from other fitness professionals during interviews when I hire new staff and so on. I'll read through resumes because I hire a lot of staff, and I'll see somebody with a lot of experience on the resume, 12, 15, 20 years of experience. But then I keep looking at the resume and I see no professional development activities. It's like they graduated from school 12, 15, 20 years ago and they did nothing since then. That's not 20 years of experience. That's 1 year of experience 20 times.
Interesting. Okay.
If you don't learn anything, you're not getting experience, you're gaining time.
But when they're saying, okay, like I'll give an example. Like I read a lot throughout my days. Like I, spend like articles, when it comes to that. But in terms of like schooling, it's not like I'm, like every day I take a course. It's like I do my own. So how do you know whether somebody has the information?
Yeah.
as opposed to him saying, well, I went to this course and here you go, I got the little diploma that they gave me.
And then, like I said, a lot of my knowledge comes from like self-knowledge. I'll read a lot of books. You don't get a certificate for reading a book.
Right.
But in the very ad that I post, I say, tell me which books you've read.
Gotcha.
During the interview, I'll ask them, what are you currently doing for professional development? Which websites are you reading? Which videos are you watching? Whose website are you reading? So I always like to know, even if it's not on the resume, but I see a long experience, I want to email them back saying, what do you currently do for professional development? If I see very little experience, I might not contact them. But if I see a lot of experience and nothing in terms of professional development, I'll ask, which books are you reading? Which videos are you watching, etc.
What should we, as the people who are trying to lose weight or trying to have a better life, healthier life, what should we be looking for in a personal trainer? So if I'm right now going out there and I go to Extreme Fitness, and again, as I said, like I see the biggest guy and I'm like, okay, I want to look like him. That's why I'm gonna. And then necessarily, he's not going to be the best trainer.
Correct.
He could just be somebody who takes care of himself.
Right.
So what should one be looking for in a personal trainer?
Right. So the number one thing is, have they gotten results with people like you? Because that biggest guy in the gym, he might have gotten results for himself and nobody else. He might have been born 240 pounds.
Okay.
And then he added 10 pounds of muscle. Now he went from 240 to 50. That's meaningless. What the results he gets for his clients, that's a whole different story. So that's one thing you want to
So do a background on the person, see who the clients are?
Yeah. Do a few references.
Okay.
Two, make sure that person is encouraging. So if you want a drill sergeant, make sure they can do that. If you want somebody who's more, take you by the hand and walk you through it, make sure they can adjust their personality to your style. So you want to jive with them. The other thing I would look at is that they do an assessment. And not just like how many push-ups and sit-ups can you do and how fast can you go on the treadmill or can you touch your toes.
Right. That's
not really a proper assessment for most people unless those are your goals. If your goal is to do more push-ups, you obviously have to assess push-ups. Most of my clients come to me not saying I want to do more push-ups. Most clients come to me saying I want to lose body fat. So it doesn't make sense to me to test push-ups if the goal is not push-ups.
So do you have to have your goals set when you come in?
You don't have to have your goals set. You have to know, at least generally speaking, what you want your goals to be. The personal trainer should help you set them. So he should help you make SMART goals, SMART. Specific, measurable, et cetera, right? Achievable, and so on.
What made you want to help people out? I mean, I understand you told me that you had an interest in it, and but you're clearly doing a lot more. Like you volunteered for my film.
Yeah.
You gave us your time, which we really appreciated. You taught me a lot. But you go out and you do talks on a regular basis. I see on your Facebook page. By the way, you should follow. Maybe at the end you can give us your hashtag or whatnot. But you're always trying to inspire people. You take time out of your day to talk to somebody about what they should be doing. What made you want to make that difference?
I wish I could say that it's my pleasure in helping people, and it is. But more than anything, it's like the mad scientist. Like I want to know what works. I love like cause and effect relationships. If I do this, then what happens to that person's body, right?
Do you feel something like a sense of pride?
A sense of pride, but also like a sense of like a joy in knowing, in knowledge. Knowledge is very valuable to me.
Okay.
So it's like a mad scientist. Like I want to know, but what's the best way? Not just a way, but what's the best way to help this person get to their goals in a way that's minimally intrusive to their lifestyle. So I guess that's what's interesting about this to me.
But you do realize that you're impacting, right? So like you have a serious impact. Like I read some articles about you before we even met, and you help really shape people's lives and make a difference. How do you feel about the difference? And like, do people still come up to you and go, "Thank you very much for helping me"? Like because of you, I maybe tell us a story of, rather than just like lady clear. You told us something, but like maybe something a little bit more like that gentleman in the article. I think that's somebody interesting.
So for example, I mean, I've to this day I've probably done 320, 330 talks. I've been speaking for about 6.5, 7 years, and obviously I don't know who's in my audience. I don't know everybody's names. I know, shameful. So I spoke at a fitness conference about 4 or 5 yeyears ago, and somebody from the audience came up to me at the end of the talk, saying it was a great talk. They asked me a question about their personal nutrition, and I don't remember the advice I gave them, but apparently they liked that advice. They emailed me 2 years later. They say, "Hi, I saw you speak at this conference. My name is so and so," and I don't remember who it was, but they told me this is my name, and I made the change that you recommended, and I have much higher energy levels. I've lost body fat. I'm stronger from this one little simple thing.
Right.
So that's another cool thing that happened.
You go out to, again, you do a lot of talks, and I know you say yes to everything because you clearly want to make an impact. But talk to me about like maybe how it makes you feel. Like I'm sure you're proud of yourself for making a difference. And is there something that do you want to do more with the information that you have? Like you clearly write books. Yeah. Do you have like a podcast, or like is there something that you're thinking about in terms of really reaching out to more people?
Yeah. So I don't have a podcast, but I do have a newsletter. It's published every week, and it's I think it's the most comprehensive information on a very narrow topic: exercise for chronic conditions. So I've written the 5 or 6 most comprehensive articles. I'm not just saying that as an ego thing. It's if you do a Google search, there's nothing that comprehensive, that well referenced, and so on about exercise for high blood pressure, how to use exercise to lower your blood pressure, how to use exercise to reverse your osteoporosis. So that's my newsletter that comes out weekly.
And people could just like literally sign on, and
it's free.
And you send it regularly.
Exactly, it's free.
Where do you work out of? You still work out from the same place?
Yeah, same place. So myself, I'm in that gym. I'm in that.
Well, here's an opportunity to maybe talk to the audience. Promote yourself a little bit. I'm going to go and look at some of the questions maybe that people were asking.
Absolutely.
So you have the floor to kind of.
So I personally, unfortunately, my schedule is full, so I can't take on. I'm not able to take on new clients. There is a waiting list. But I myself am in this facility in Markham on Steeles and Highway 404. But that's just me. I do have a team of 14 personal trainers who work with me, and they will go to people's homes within the Greater Toronto area. They've been very carefully vetted. Only about 1 in 12 or 15 interviews that I do actually gets hired, and they are thoroughly trained in my methodology. They have to pass a 3-hour test just to get new clients, and every month they have to send me progress reports on all of their clients just to make sure that my trainers are getting the exact same results with my clients that I would get if I was working with them personally. So quality assurance is there.
Well, there's people who are writing, but nobody's writing anything. Oh, actually, somebody did. How do you sign up for newsletters? So if there's anything.
So Ron.
A different Ron.
You can actually get the newsletter for free by actually going and the book for free, the PDF copy of the book, if you just go to stopexercisingbook.com.
So stopexercisingbook.com.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, and more than a newsletter, if somebody wants to follow you, and I'm sure, do you post pictures on a regular basis? Do you maybe post pictures of your clients?
So
how do you promote? How do you promote? Like, I mean, again, clearly there's a book, but I'm sure today with technology, people put up like a picture every day. Like, this is my client, and this is the exercise that we're doing, and take a look at them. Yeah. Is that a way that you promote yourself?
The only time I'll actually post pictures is in articles that I feature clients in my specific articles. As I mentioned earlier, I'm very technologically challenged. I'll take like 5 or 6 pictures per year. So that's like, if somebody wants to follow me on social media, the best place is just Facebook or LinkedIn.
And you said your gym is where again?
So the exact address is 500 Denison Street. The major intersection is Steeles and Highway 404.
So the reason I'm bringing it up because I've been to your gym, and it offers something that other gyms don't offer. It's a very large space. There's also like different type of exercises that people are doing there. Like there's a track. There's like a
40-yard track.
Right. There's also the grassy area. I don't even know what is it called. Turf. Yeah, turf. Of course. Immigrant. You have turf. And what do people feel when they come to that environment? Do they feel like they're that it's different and because it's very much an open space. Yeah. And I don't know, for some reason, for me, I felt really good being there because it wasn't this like tight area where people were on top of me. And, you have all these like big guys. Look, there's like no barely any mirrors.
Yeah, there's like 3 mirrors.
We're usually like I'm used to going to Extreme Fitness, and where like people literally are sitting in front of the mirror just looking at themselves all day long,
checking out their biceps.
So what is the benefit of like being in a gym like that as opposed to a regular Extreme Fitness? And not that I'm saying anything negative about Extreme Fitness. I think it's a great gym
anyway.
but nonetheless, what is it they're gaining by coming to like your gym?
Yeah, the environment. Yeah, there are people that may look big and intimidating, but they're so friendly, and when they see you actually dropping weight, adding muscle, etc., they're gonna actually walk up to you and congratulate you. They're so non-judgmental, even though they may look big and strong and so on. They're like the biggest dolls in the world. They're very encouraging, they're very motivating, and again, very non-judgmental.
Igor, like honestly, this was amazing. Like every time I'm with you, like I learn a lot. I really want to do this, so if we can put a plan together, because before we didn't put a food plan, we just did a workout plan, and of course it worked out. I gained everything back, and I, going through stress and completely forgetting about the exercise and all that. but I'd like to get back into things, and so today I'm committing to it.
Sure.
So hopefully you can put a plan.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to know how they can, maybe you could drop a plan for them. Is there a way, a website they can go to to connect with you?
Sure.
Or
If you would like to apply to work with us, the website is fitnesssolutionsplus.ca.
Fitnesssolutions with an S plus.ca.
That's it.
And they send you, and your email address, what would it be?
Email address is igor@torontofitnessonline.com.
Igor with an I-G-O-R, correct?
Yep.
Beautiful. Igor, this was been a pleasure. Let's see if there's anything else. I don't think we're getting too many people. Oh, people are saying, watching the boys, have a good night's sleep.
I will, thank you.
It's been a pleasure. I also want to talk to you a little bit and having the audience. We're putting on May 27th a mental health day.
Yeah.
And for those that are tuning in right now and are seeing the stuff I'm putting online, I want to give back. I want people to know that we're here to support them. We're going to be having yoga, meditation, sound therapy, Reiki. These are all things that help you in some ways. You also recommended some people to do meditation. Actually, the yoga instructor was somebody you brought to me,
She's
Jane.
excellent.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Yeah,
if you guys, she's a character and a half. I mean, I love her. But no, honestly, I never thought I was going to learn that much by participating in just a few days. Yeah. But I learned a lot, and I started to feel better. Yeah. I recommend it to anybody that really meet with Igor, with Jane who does yoga, and come join us on May 27th for a mental health day that we're putting together. I invite you and your people to come out. It's a free day where you just learn about these modalities and really just enjoy it and see what it does for you. So there's a lot of people out there who have no idea what yoga is like. Yeah. And a lot of people who say, no, there's no way I can meditate. Well, with the right personnel, somebody who is guiding you through it, or sound therapy. When somebody recommended sound therapy to me, I got to be honest with you, I had no idea what it was, and I thought it was like the weirdest thing ever. And I went to do sound therapy with Philip Jacobs. I'm giving him props. I left that day feeling 1,000% better, and that was one of the worst days that I've had, and literally shaped me. I remember I got into a really big fight with one of my cameramen, huge, to a point where it was like a real big back and forth. And I went to do the sound therapy, and I came out a completely different person.
Nice.
So I recommend to anybody, come in, enjoy it, see what it's like. It might be for you. You'll take the opportunity, and you guys can talk to Philip Jacobs. You want to work out with Igor, with Jane, with guided meditation with Renata, and Reiki with Nicole. Please join us. Thank you again for coming out. Really, really appreciate it. Next week we have a very interesting show. Hopefully Ellie will be here. Ellie is sending my love. I know that the weather is horrible out there, but I'm glad that you're safe and sound. Anybody, if you guys have any questions, you can always get in touch with us. The Prickly Pear Show, Pear, P-A-I-R, as two people. The Prickly Pear Show @gmail.com. We would love to hear your questions. If there's anything you need from us, if you'd like to be a guest, please be in touch with us, because we really do this show for you. I clearly like to talk, but it's more about engaging you in order to be able to get the audience to tune in and to get some results. So thank you again for everybody for tuning in. Really, really appreciate it. Have yourself a wonderful week. Stay safe out there, and stay away from the cold. Have a good one.
Thanks, Rag.
Now it's time to get up. Oh, my leg is falling asleep.